Benue State Transport Corridor is largely in the hands of informal players. So, as a regulator, our mandate is to ensure that we regulate all these transport activities and bring them in tandem with best practice in a way and manner that as we provide access to transportation to our people, it is coordinated and that the ultimate goal of arriving at their end destination is achieved. So what do we do again? To articulate the policy for the transport sector and to proceed from that articulation to a legislative regime that will drive the transport sector in Benue State. Upon assumption of office, stakeholders were also identified and then we interacted with them. Be them the bus drivers, the National Union of Road Transport Workers, be them the KK Union, be them the Okada, be them the Taxi Association, on and offline taxis, be them, the Car Owners Association and all that. We have interacted with them. We have visited parks to look at the state of our parks and how can it be better off. All right? The policy again is at advanced stage. Then we're doing well. The policy is at advanced stage. We have understudied, we have done peer review, and we have also found out the best way to coordinate the transport sector in Benue State. We have looked at it. There was a transport law existing in Benue State before now, except for the A1 that set up the Vehicle Inspectorate Unit. And the VIO is a microscopic element or component exists in the transport ecospace. So our appreciation of it now leads us to ensure that we put the right legislative framework in place that will drive the transport sector in Benue State. So from that interactive session with our advisory and technical committee, we began to look at our laws, or what are the laws that we need to put in place to regulate the transport space in Benue State. So now again, our team has come up with a proposed legislation for the Benue State Traffic Management Agency that will, on behalf of the ministry, manage all traffic-related activities in Benue State. They will identify what the traffic infraction is, and then they will have the mandate to also enforce compliance with our traffic regulations in Benue State. Once we do that, it will also clean up the town and then make free flow of transportation activities within the state. It have multiple multisectorial sectorial benefits. Once you have that traffic regulation agency or authority for Benue State, it will create jobs so that we can have our young people briefly employed to begin to also ensure that traffic rules and regulation in Benue State are strictly adhered to. That law will define what the traffic of infraction is. That law will aggregate what procedure it will take for you to have a driving license, to carry out the business of a driving school in Benue State, what steps you must take. And that law will also take us to that for you to have a private motor park or private transportation businesses, steps that you must take to obtain license or regulatory license, how these licenses are obtained and how these licenses are renewed, and then the supervisory role of the ministry to ensure that basic infrastructures exist for this license to be granted, from temporary to permanent, and to when this license can be withdrawn. Right? And then, as we continue to use the tricycle as well as Okada as means of transportation in Benue State, the law will also regulate their operation. Which routes is open for Okada as a means of transportation, and which route is open for the tricycle, which route is open for the bus, as we move towards developing a template for the Benue State mass transit unit of the transport sector. As we do that, it goes hand in hand with developing the right infrastructure to support what we are talking about. The state is beginning to develop and open up. We have had for ourselves some sectorial in-house committee who had gone around the Benue and look at Benue as it stands today, and then identify for us where do we need to have automated traffic regulation facility Where do we need to have automated traffic regulation facility? So that by the time we power our city, Makurdi, Otukpo, Boko, Kasinala, as a model, we should have the right enforcement authority or infrastructure to ensure compliance. This committee have turned in their report. They have reviewed Benue and Makurdi, subject to availability of funds. We'll be doing Boko, Mako, Otukpo, Kasinala, and then we'll move like that to identify which of the city and which of the point need to have automated traffic regulatory infrastructure. And once that is done, we deploy and we move. So it's our business to coordinate. The draft law for the transport sector is also at advanced stage. That will speak around 75% from our own decks, and then we'll follow the other consequential step by sending it for vetting and then to the ESCO, and then proceeding from ESCO to the State Assembly. We want to assist the government to achieving a constitutional governance, a government that is driven by legislation. Our thoughts, our policy of government are going to be backed by law, so that this law will regulate what we do, be it in the transport sector as well as in the power and renewable corridor. Along the line, as we are concerned about setting the basics and the fundamentals for which this ministry is going to stand and grow to the point that they can stand alone, Ministry of Power, and Ministry of Transportation for Benue State, we'll be looking at intervention in the low-hanging ones. What do we do in the immediate? All right, the executive governor came in and then like, oh, there is a need to light up our city. And then do we light them up using the traditional or the old infrastructure that we use that is driven by fuel, generator and all that, and the emission that it creates to the space? Or we go green. In attempting to go green, we settled for the solar intervention. So you can see our intervention in phase 1 is starting with the Makurdi metropolis. And we have deployed well over 67,000 street lights to several companies to lighten up the Makurdi. The works at several stages at 60-75% completion, and by the time it's completed, the whole of Makurdi will be lit up by solar light, and then we can now move to phase 2. Moving to phase 2 of it will be to begin to intervene in the various local governments. We have clearly articulated our roadmap in line with the Governor Alia's directive that the Benue Advanced Plan lapse in 2024, and therein lies the need again to have a further projection of a plan for Benue State. And the Governor Alias administration have set up a technical steering committee that are working on the Benue Remodel Advanced Plan for 2025-2035, a 10 years plan. And within this 10 years, it is our own desire or intervention from the ministry here that all our center city and our local government will have a feel of that light up project of His Excellency Governor SNT earlier. So the second phase will begin to be deployed to the various local government phases, and the ultimate one is to ensure that all local government is covered within the valuable resources that is open to us and any other model that is. So to achieving this, for 2025 projection, we will be working with the local government in Benue State to see how we partner, just like we are partnering with the federal government through the Agency of Rural Electrification to identify a project for our rural benefit and then match a fund for that to be stepped down. That any local government that is desire of energy access can also partner with the state government in an arrangement that an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, can broker. Our electricity law will provide for that window, so that any local government say, I want 30 street light. The street light will be cost. State government will take 70%, As soon as you make your 30% available, state will match, and then we go. So that let nobody say, well, if all of them come and bring today, we can access facility and let them all have it. That kind of arrangement exists between state and the federal government. So we should think necessarily that by legislation, it should exist. It's not by coercion. It's a window that will be open for any desirous local government to explore. All that is meant towards granting non-flinching asset. All right, so that is it in the immediate, and then promptly again to ensure that power is stable. The government of I sent earlier again promptly enhanced the power situation at the state secretariat, moving them from 11 kVA to 33 kVA with an enhanced transformer capacity to ensure that this workplace has stable power. And the seat of government in Government House, within the first 1 year that we came, power again has also been enhanced here by state intervention. And then the area of the new GRA, Commissioner's Quarters, some part of Judge's Quarters are being enhanced. And as I speak to you now, deployment from the Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy and Transport are currently on site at the Benue State Fashion Hub to make sure that, yes, power around that window, that community is enhanced so that that facility can have stable power options to do the business for which it is set up. And we got requests from the Correctional Center and Court for power intervention, and the state government graciously approved our recommendation to intervene. And as we speak, our staffs are outside doing what they know how to do best. Our model here is to use our available resources to deliver on the mandate of governance, where that option is available to us. What I mean by that is to deploy direct labor so that we can cut costs and achieve a greater intervention by the state government. That much we are doing. And then for the area of transportation, the state government did not also rest on its oars. As soon as it got into government and then fuel subsidy was removed, first phase of palliative intervention was granted by the presidency. Part of that resources was deployed for the procurement of 100 fleet of buses for Benue Links Nigeria Limited, the state-owned company, for usage so that it can reduce the cost of transportation. And to the type, that intervention greatly caused a reduction of price of transportation within and outside the Benue state. So this concept is to ensure that we grant access to Benue community to the state capital. At least a bus take you from your local government here, another one takes people back to their local government, and then on a daily basis, and others can take people from the state to whichever destination they want to go to. All that were immediate intervention, but in the long run, it is a concerted effort, as we are currently in discussion with the World Bank, coordinated by the Federal Ministry of Transportation, designing urban mobility intervention for Nigeria. For us in Benue State, we feel very strongly that the time to do that is now. Right? The price of petrol is all on up. We are seeing so many vehicles pulling off our road. We have sent a note to His Excellency on the need to intervene. And I know it's a listening governor who will soon cause that intervention. The low-hanging one is our recent discussion with Benue Links to pull out some of their fleet and deploy for usage by our civil servant in particular and the students in the short term as the state gravitate towards consolidating on our ongoing discussion to procuring particularly CNG buses for urban mobility. All that are what we have been doing within the short time that we are here, and then we are sure that as a ministry, God's helping us. Now that we are 1 year down the line, all this will be achieved, and then the ministry will be on the threshold for life impact for the people of Benue State. Thank you. Life itself is associated with challenges, and these challenges for us are the springboard to a greater feat and greater height. as a new ministry, certainly not going to be bereaved of its own teething challenges. We are certainly different from existing ministry whom the commissioner walked into existing office space, existing infrastructure, be them in human resources and in system. That obviously was not available to us, and we need to laboriously begin to put that together. One of the greatest challenges that is living with us is that of human capacity. Yeah, human capacity. Right? Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy, and that of Transportation. They are highly professional and technical ministry in the strict sense of it. And I do know that the existing staffs of the Directorate of Electricity, the Directorate of Electrical and Electronic Services of the then Ministry of Works, were narrow in capacity to the point that all they do from the engagement at the very formative stage were into a whole lot. But at the bastardization of civil service, they were narrowed down to that of maintenance officer, maintaining generator, servicing transformer if they have opportunity, installing if they give them opportunity. But at another time, we discovered that everything went the contract way. So they don't even have access to doing any of those things. Redundancy setting. And because of, the paucity of resources and their take-home, self-development and continuous development became a very big challenge. All right, and then in the new space of the power sector itself have a value chain in the area of generation, transmission, and distribution. So by this law that we're talking about, it means Benue State will begin to, you are coming to invest in generation. We should have a staff that understands what generation is, transmission, and distribution. Apart from the numbers that we have, the capacity of our staffs need to be enhanced to meet up with this task that we're talking about. Similarly, you go to transport sector. Transport is beyond what we talk about moving people from here to there. It's a whole lot. Be it the air transport, which we must explore, be it the waterways transportation, which we must explore, rail, and then the land transportation that we're talking about. They are all technical in their sense of it. So, the available staffs do not necessarily have this capacity even if they exist. So there is need to have an enhanced capacity. And that as we begin to embrace the new electricity space in Nigeria, all that we got made, how many states have capacity? But I understand again on the job that nobody is born with capacity. But capacities are built, capacity can be acquired. You build it by developing those that you have, identifying people with potential and develop it. And then you acquire it by finding from wherever they exist and hiring them to get the job done. All right, the Enugu Electricity Regulation Commission that existed before this new electricity regime in Nigeria have their chairman, an Indian, the operational manager, a Namibian. Once it becomes a state concern, or there's a political will, human resources can be aggregated from everywhere. Nigeria, following the trajectory of power sector reform, saw the need to build local capacity. And there established for ourselves by an act the National Institute of Power Training Institute of Nigeria. We have that. And I have also taken my time to interact with the DG and management of the Nigerian Power Training Institute to help develop and design a model that will enhance the staff capacity of our place. So that one, they can service the state, and then two, prepare Benue people to also be hired by any other state that desire them. So again, by my discussion and exchange to the governor, was a memo to a letter to Bureau for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs that this discussion is ongoing. If that model is designed to address the area of power generation, transmission, distribution, and energy sector management, then we can deploy our people for this training in this institute. A short course of 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, respectively, will be fashioned out. We'll deploy our people to build capacity quick and fast, and then we move. That is on the way, so that we can address that capacity issue. And then, as I have the privilege to sit on this side of the table, I also move around to first begin to identify sons and daughters of Benue State that are in the power sector. We have them in the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Power. We have identified them. We have identified them at the Nigeria Electricity Regulation Commission. We have identified them at MNET. We have identified them at TCM. We have identified them at the Niger Delta Power Company of Nigeria. We have their data, or we have their profile in a database that at any time we'll call them to a meeting and give them the option to come back and set up the power space for Benue State. In the transport corridor, we have seen that Lagos, that is a model for everybody, kept bringing back their best of hand from UK and every other place to set up. And they're doing well. Like, no wonder they're doing well. So my model is to tell everybody that, look, the capacity might not be with us, but they are certainly within reach. So capacity, that will be fine. It will be a huge challenge, so we'll do well. I'm not an engineer. I'm not. To be a mechanical one, to be in charge of transportation, I am not. An electrical one, to be in charge of power, I am not. I mean, because of my professional background, I quickly, in this short time, under 1 year, I've done missed program. Short one, 1 month, 3 months. Man, I've taken that one. Power sector and transport. So let me understand what it is. And so far, so good. I can do that because when I'm set to achieve it or enhance my capacity to do that. Maybe because of the resources again that is available to me. It is not available to our staff to individually develop their capacity. So again, having identified that, going forward in 2025 budget, we'll be making a proposal. So that by the time this model is designed, we begin to send our staff to this institute so that they can be trained, be to Institute of Transportation of Nigeria, so that they can be trained. Then we are partnering with local government. Local government will identify people with this background and bring them, sponsor them for this training, and then we'll hire them or we'll put them in the labor market for other states to hire them. So that again will tell on developing power sector capacity for Benue State, developing transport sector capacity for Benue State. If that is done, we are fine, and then we'll be good. And I recommend that for every other place. We are moving from the old orthodox way, so let us see how we can transmute the staff that we have to a point that they can be relevant to what we are doing or what we want to do as a government. So that's our concern, and then we are working assiduously for it. The space ain't problem for me. We can work from it. Nobody is only here that you talk about bogus space to work. We can work from our palm. And I thank the governor of Benue State for his ingenuity. It's only a matter of time. Benue is going to transmute into an e-governance state. Where we will decongest so much emphasis from physical contact. It's not sustainable, it's not realistic as we speak. We want to see how our civil service can just show off 1-2 days on the decks and then take a walk from home or from wherever. Taking civil service along anywhere you are where you can work from the place. It's more money you are paid inside of what. Even if we begin to pay the minimum of 70,000 naira in the contemporary times, it cannot address anybody's needs to say you have time to put your best into the service. So we will reduce what we take this and then give them so much time to develop capacity and work for government from anywhere. That's what we want to do, and that's what the contemporary space, workspace require, so that we can maximize our time and then have maximum output. So capacity, tell me another time the greatest challenge, yes, capacity. Once we get that done, all of that thing will fall in place. The infrastructural one, yes, we have the infrastructure without the right capacity to manage it. It won't also work. So the capacity will spin and address the other area of need that this new ministry currently experiencing. But they are not without, they are not so much that we cannot live with or so on. It's only a matter of time. The government of High St. Omale is built on, a collegial administration. No ministry is a standalone ministry. Therefore, no ministry is expected to work in silo. We work in sync, in synergy with ourselves, from design to delivery, so that every ministry can catch a bite. And for us, that's what we do. Every government thought is clearly articulated in a manner that all line ministry are participatory and can take a bite of it. The underpass is meant to bring some other traffical issues and challenges. So from conception, as a Ministry of Transportation, we need to know what is this bringing up. So how do we also brace up to regulating it so that this blessing does not begin to cause us issues? So we need to regulate the movement of vehicles around that space at the time is completed. It's also going to be give us opportunity to have an interchange. See, Benue is not designed for today. That's why I spoke earlier on of a 10-year plan. All right? We were looking at transportation from the perspective that there will be an interchange. There will be an intermodal transport system for Benue State. From the rail station, you highlight, you get into the bus, and then you move to where you are going to. To accessing the mass box, your Okada takes you from a point to where a tricycle will pick you up and drop you where a small bus will take you and drop you where you take a train, and then you go to where you are going to. In that connection takes you to our waterway jetty, where you can also do by boat and go. From our understudy, we understand very clearly that about 9 local governments of Benue State can use water transportation. And if our water transportation is developed, it then means a greater chunk of population of our students to BSU from the Wadata houses or from even these lowland houses can just take a cab to the Wadata jetty and take a ferry from Wadata to BSU depot. Then you're off. You're in school. It takes you to Agatu. From that backside, you cross to Apa. So you don't necessarily need to do a detour all the way to go Adoka to Apa by road. It takes you to go Guma by boat. There you drop at Agesha. From Agesha, you do Taka. From Taka, you do Buruku. From Buruku, there you cross to that side, Togo. From that side, there you cross you at Kasinala. Then you do Kasinala, and it takes you down the other way to Cameroon, to Mande houses, all by waterways. And then to this upland, you can by waterway again connect to Lokoja, down to Lokoja. And I found out that from here we can do waterway to Bayelsa to Port Harcourt. So there are viable options. So we are looking at intermodal transport infrastructure. So that you ask for the underpass. Yes, there's going to be an exchange at the underpass, where a big bus terminal will come, it drop you there, you take a smaller one and you're home. All this infrastructure will bear in mind this developmental design. So yes, we're working together and say, oh, this will have transport issue. So how do we address it? As you're designing this, let's have this in mind. And that's what you see we are doing. And as the thoughts are coming up, we are working on it. It's going to be an exchange point for all the means of transportation that we have. So we are part of it. And we have had that discussion with them extensively, that as you design your road, let us also know. All right? Because we are also looking at the non-mechanical mobility. We want to encourage people to trek more. And if they are going to trek more, then there should be a pedestrian route. We want to encourage people to cycle more, to ride bicycle. They are not going to ride bicycle on the same route where you have heavy vehicle passing. So your road must be designed to bear that in mind. So therein lies the need to work together, right? And that underpass will necessarily engender some economic and social economic activities. So how do you move from there? Luckily, it's Ministry of Works and Urban Development. Yes, there are communities there that need to give way. How do you begin to talk to them to relocate them and move? Because by the activity of bypass, no, you cannot admit or certain activity, residential or social activity within a reasonable radius of that place. Okay, we are looking at urban mobility, for instance. Assuming we're going to deploy 50 to 60 seater buses, then there must be a bus stop, an exchange point. And that exchange point, if your road is not designed in a way that will have a bus, not a bus stop that you just put a tent by the side. No. It's going to be an exchange that the car will veer off, but will not affect other traffic activities. If you've been to Oshodi, that you know in the last 10, 15, 20 years, you pass there, you will know this modern design absorb of it. So there are certain existing infrastructure that will necessarily give way for us to achieve that. So it is part of our concern to begin to engage this conversation with ultimate agenda of transforming the entire transport space we have in Benue State. All right, as you walk in, you heard me discussing with some chaps whom we have invited from Enugu State to give us a design of our trailer parks. We have come as a Ministry of Transportation, we have identified, the incongruous arrangement in that corridor. So how do we address it? We are here to provide solution as a government. You travel along our roads, you see how trucks, heavy-duty vehicles park indiscriminately on our road, affecting free flow of traffic. Do we live with them? How do we manage them? These are the questions we asked from this office. And to addressing it was why we invited, the smart transport management expert that we identified from Enugu State to talk with them. And we have identified some flashpoints that as you move from Enugu to Obadibo, in the Ukpazis, we have an informal park that overflow into the road. So we need to correct it. But you must correct it by providing solution. It is a solution we are addressing. As you move to the Ukpazis, you see truck parked indiscriminately on our road. And they will continue to park. So what do? There was a park designated for trailer park, Tukbo, before the military checkpoint. It's not so used. How do we develop it to make it attractive for all trucks to go there and then disembark from there in the morning to their several locations? You come to Alede, we are living with that in Alede. You come to the, the petroleum depot in Api, we are living with it. In the Makodi houses, even though we have a trailer park at the North Bank, not so used because there are no supportive infrastructure. And even if we need to develop it, you can no longer take them. So we are thinking, where do you move them to? You cross as you are going to Boko, there is an ethanol factory somewhere there that hosts more than 20, 30 trucks on the roadside bringing cassava. How do we address it as a Ministry of Transportation? Right? And then you go to the Benue cement factory, now that go to the cement factory, right? And then you see how these trucks are parked. How do you coordinate them? And then, so we are identifying it so that we come out with the data and put it in the market for investor. By PPP arrangement, come and invest, build a park and run it, right? Then you go to around the Cassinala Bridge, the Bema Junction there, you see how trucks park indiscriminately. How do we create a space for them? Right? And then you go to Ukumia Market. What do we do? So we are identifying them here and there and trying to provide a solution to them in policy and in infrastructure. So the underpass, using it as a model to address it in intersectorial connection. I would like, yes, we need to come up some more and see how there can be that collaboration, and then whatever we are going to do should have a larger picture that can accommodate all sectors. So what happens? I have lived with them. Our lives is for humanity, and by my own formation or at the level that I find myself now, my personality is beyond the Gao where I come from, my local government. Gradually, we are moving into that class of statesmanship. This is not a function of age, but it's the function of that networking and then that self, development with the utmost interest of humanity at heart. What have we done for the people of APA using this opportunity? One is to showcase to the people of Benue State that percent of this impeccable character and standing does exist in APA, and that you can find much more than me in the land of APA, and by extension that doesn't see in Benue State. It's not every young chaps that do not have capacity for what they are looking for or for any opportunity that comes their way. In the area of capacity, we are providing a role model so that people can also know that, look, consistently pay. That yes, in life as you are growing, do you have a conviction? Then hold tight to it, pursue it. It's only a matter of time it will come to fruition. So I'm like, this that does not have any political godfather, it's not from any big farmer where to do, so it can just become this too. Others look at it, it just happened mechanically. No, we've come a long way, right? Building and fighting for this space. And not just for the fun of it, so that we can, commissioner after all, but so that we can have opportunity to demonstrate how contemporary governance or public space can be managed. That's what we are doing. And then again, yes, on what we are doing, we have also tried as we design for intervention by the state to attract at the time that it will get to our turn what is the due of our people. They will equally get it in a very good time. When the Benue Links option came, we tried to open it up. Even though most of these schools are not very viable, we try to incentivize it and open them up. We have this vehicle going around, but we're insisting that they also touch base at the various local government days. There are, including that of APAN and that every other part we have within the states that we are doing. I haven't taken stock of energy needs, served and underserved communities. We have also assessed them, like we assess in every other local government. Will we not, like the oath of office credit state, be biased in the course of doing this job? We will be very objective and sincere, but ultimately they will be effectively and efficiently represented in government. And I can speak so far so good that they are.
All right.
Governance is a process, and there's no way you can exhaust them in a year or in a day. All right. I started by telling us that when it came, he said, let us light up Benue. Lighting up Benue starts from a step from Makurdi, the state capital, and from there we have a program that will cover the field only with a matter of times. Yes, are there infrastructural interventions that are happening in zone B and C and A respectively? Yes, I recall an ESCO proposal came for at least a stop-short intervention in infrastructure within Benue State. For Zone C, the one we are seeing in Makurdi here, because it's the state headquarters, there's every need to bring the state headquarters into the class of state headquarters there are in Nigeria. So it's a must fix for all of us. All of us come here, people come here. This is where they see as Benue. So it calls for that prompt and urgent intervention. In Zone A, have a bite on what we are currently doing. Zone C, we had a design for Zone C. That intervention in Zone C was meant to do, was to cover the Ojuobi Federal Constituency. Well, the first phase of intervention was at Federated Federal Constituency. So now you now have the one for Zone C, Ojuobi was picked out. And because of the level of information that is available to us, the one, the Oju, Awaji Road, was recommended for that intervention. Because repeatedly they're like, oh yes, the governor went for campaign, he told them when I become, I will fix this. And contract was awarded. Upon the perfection of that contract, we became aware that the existing contract was on the ground. And so we couldn't have awarded another fresh contract in respect of Ojuawaji. So again, this project couldn't take off the same time with every other project that was approved at the same time. We got back to the drawing board again. And it was recommended that, oh, then take the road from a lady that burst out at Obi. If you recall, earth-moving equipment were deployed immediately. And then another tactical issue came out. Matters of design, matters of community holdback, and the rest of it. It impaired. I do know that mobilization was caused. And that mobilization is still hanging until certain issues are resolved for us to take off. Secondly, they're like, oh, take Oju to Otukpo. They say, it's a federal road, it has been given. The anxious disposition of the government to do that first stop shop in one federal constituency, each in Benue State, was a matter of resolve. And only until we have these teething issues that stall the presence of this activity in Zone C as we speak. But the Ministry of Works are on it. They are talking with stakeholders. Projects are going to be identified and they will be fine with it. And I can also tell us, during the thank you tour by His Excellency, he did not mince word. He articulated area of infrastructural intervention for every of the states. And part of that design was to ensure that the whole of our federal constituency will be connected by a road network in Benue State. So every of the point is stopped. Say, we are doing this road from this place to this. It's connecting the federal constituency and linking themselves up. Our step one is to link up the whole state federal constituency by road network. So that promise is on the ground, and when the governor, High Centralians, make a promise, you can take it to bank. And I can tell you, having identified this connectivity, structural designs are ongoing, cost implications are all going to be worked out, and as they are all worked out, in 2025 they will find their place at the budget, and then they will be for implementation. So if Zone C are not seeing one now, it's not an oversight, it's because of this technical holdback, but definitely a matter of time, Zone C will reach. All I got to say is to say a very big thank you for these opportunities, and then for our listeners and viewers for their time to have us share our thoughts on what we're doing from this side of the divide for and on behalf of the government, for the benefit of the people of the state, and then to reassure them that Governor I sent you on them earlier mean well for the people of the states, and he started on a very high note. He's sustaining the tempo. He has enjoyed the best of the cooperations of the very good people of Benue State, not minding the distractions that are coming from those who think government is about them. I charge the people of Benue State to give him a chance. To give him a chance that the social contract that he undertook with them is for delivery. And he has assembled the best of hands to work with him in realizing this mandate. And I do know that at the close of the first 4 years, the people of Benue State will be better for it and will sustain their yearn and calling for him to continue so that he can finish this good work that he started. All I'm sure of is that the governor is putting the state on the trajectory of a system development. Once that system is put in place and consolidated for that period of 8 years, nobody can detract from it. The model that Tinubu did in Lagos, that if you take anybody from anywhere to Lagos, it will drive Lagos. That is what Father Alia is setting here in Benue State, a model for the entire North to come copy. Thank you.